Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Business Growth Show, where we talk about all components of business and how to utilize them for exponential growth. My name is Athin Cassiotis. I'm a business growth expert where I help business owners grow and scale to create wealth and freedom. And today, I have an awesome guest. His name is Kyle Stout, and he's the founder of Elevate and Scale, a leading email marketing agency that helps direct-to-consumer brands unlock hidden revenue and put their sales on autopilot while spending $0 in extra ad spend. And he's an expert on leveraging email marketing to maximize revenue by improving customer retention, increasing average order value, and driving repeat purchases. And he's more than a decade of experience in digital marketing, starting as a freelance copywriter, where he honed his skills in brand storytelling and email marketing. And once he had developed a set of frameworks that work consistently across different niches, he started Elevate and Scale, specializing in email marketing for e-commerce businesses. And Kyle is a husband and proud girl dad living in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's how I say it. And when he's not working, he enjoys working out, staying active outdoors, hosting family cookouts, and traveling. Welcome, Kyle Stout, and thank you for being on my show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome, mate. I'm sure it's going to be an awesome episode for everyone watching and listening today. So you're a very successful entrepreneur. So for those people who don't know who you are, please introduce yourself by telling us about you and your journey.
Okay, yeah. So my name is Kyle Stout, and as you mentioned in the intro, I started out as a freelance copywriter, and really I was just doing a lot of sales copy for different businesses. So writing the copy for their websites or for sales pages or for emails and ads and different things. And it got to where I really wanted to build an agency and start to productize my service and be able to hire other people to do a lot of the service fulfillment. And so originally I started an agency trying to do all the different digital marketing services. And I quickly realized that because I wasn't as much of an expert in those other things, and I would hire people who didn't do that great of work, that it was better for me to really focus on the key areas where I was seeing the most success for my clients, which was all around email marketing and some of the other things that go along with it for retention marketing. And that's whenever I started Elevate and Scale. And from there, I started working primarily with e-commerce businesses. And, really for a lot of businesses, they neglect email marketing as a sales channel, and they don't realize how much potential there really is there to tap into. So that's something that I'd love to be able to share with you today.
Yeah, awesome, man. Love it. Great story. And I love how you saw where you were getting the best results and really honed in on doubling down, so to speak, on that to really, create impact in industry and for other businesses. And let's start with why, right? Like, why is email marketing the most important strategy for, product-based entrepreneurs, to be leveraging right now?
So one of the main reasons why is that it's because it's an asset that you own versus things like your social media pages and other areas where you might be generating leads and customers. They're on other platforms that you don't own and control. And sometimes things can happen that are out of your control where, either your account gets banned, your ad account gets banned or something like that, or changes happen in the algorithm and all of a sudden you're not getting near as much views or engagement with your posts. And these things can happen. Well, whereas with your email list, it's an asset you own and control, but you also have a direct line of communication to your leads and customers. So you always have a way to get in touch with them. And it's just a great point of contact to have with people through email and SMS. You can always get your marketing messages through to people. And so it's a really reliable channel for generating sales.
Yeah, awesome, man. Love that. So important to own some of the assets where possible and creating that list. And a lot of entrepreneurs are making a lot of mistakes out there, right, in what they're doing. So what do you see as some of the top mistakes they're doing with their email marketing that could be costing them a lot of money as well?
So, well, one thing that comes to mind is a lot of brands are relying too much on discounts to generate sales from their emails. And so a lot of times that's our mindset going into email marketing. If this is not something that you've really spent a lot of time doing, then you might just go into it thinking, well, no one's going to buy from my emails if I don't offer a discount. So a lot of business owners, and they're doing this themselves, they think, well, I want to see this big spike in sales from the first email I send out. So they always rely on a discount. And of course, it's just going to eat into your margins, but also it can end up harming the value of your brand and the way that people perceive the value of your products. And they, if you just stick with email marketing, because a lot of times if you've been neglecting your list for a while and you send out one email and the results are hit or miss, people will think it was something to do with them. But a lot of it has to do with people just forgot they were on your list or just not used to getting emails from you. So you've got to get back into that regular sending frequency, and you'll be able to nurture that list and to generate sales, and doing it with just having good email content and not relying on discounts. So then also getting into that frequency point is another big mistake that businesses make. Is I see businesses on two ends of the spectrum, where sometimes you have businesses that maybe they have a smaller list and they're emailing way too much, and they're just trying to do trying to do too much from where they're at in their business. And on the other hand, you have bigger businesses that have a really big list and they rarely email their list. And it's like they have so much potential. It's almost frustrating to see this, because they might email them, once a month, or just, for the random holiday sale or something like that, but they don't have a regular cadence. And not only could they be sending weekly, they could be sending multiple times weekly. But the key thing there is that you don't want to be sending every email out to everyone on your list. So you want to start looking for ways to use segmentation, so that way you're sending to different groups within your list, and then you are tailoring the content in those emails towards those groups. So they could be based on products they've purchased in the past. It could be based on where they're located. For example, maybe you're selling online, but you also have some storefronts, and you want to send out targeted emails to people near those storefronts to get foot traffic in your stores. So those are some things you can do with segmentation, and to craft content that's going to be more personalized to them, which just makes the emails more enjoyable to receive.
Yeah, awesome, man. Love that. And one thing you touched on there before, right, was the brand. And I think branding is extremely important, right? In business, we've got to have a strong brand. We want to keep building our brand and not have things that impact it. So how does it fit in, right, with the overall brand and marketing strategy, like with email, with what else we're doing with our brand?
Yeah, it's really important. And that's something that, again, also gets overlooked, where people think like the email channel is just this area where they almost treat it like ads. Like we're just going to blast an email out, almost like we're just sending an ad out into social media. But really, going back to the whole thing of having a direct line of communication with your leads and customers, is you want to look at what kind of experience are you delivering for people across your social media, across your website. So what kind of message is your brand, do you have crafted for your brand? And you really want to keep that consistent with your emails. So one thing I tell people as a sort of like a North Star to guide you is to really focus a lot more on who you're selling to than what you're selling, and really try to speak to their wants and their needs and their concerns, and make the content a lot more focused on things that they care about. And ultimately that's going to, again, give them a better experience, but it's going to also just give them a better feeling about how your brand does marketing.
Yeah, awesome. I love that. And going a little bit deeper, should we be mixing it up, I guess, a little bit here, right? Maybe we've got some sales things, but maybe it's like something that's linked to what we do that we can just provide some value on. So we're sort of mixing it up, I guess, to that story, so it doesn't feel like that we're just selling all the time or not selling at all, right? And sort of having a bit of a mix to put them on that journey.
Exactly. Yeah, you definitely want to be doing that. So you don't want to be only sending newsletters where you're just sending a bunch of content roundups, but never actually trying to sell anything. But you also don't want to be coming off as spammy and trying to just do these hard sales in every email. So I like to have a balance of the type of content you send out. So some emails are just more educational, whether it's educational about your products or educational about your brand, or just educational about topics that are related to your industry and things they care about. And then also having emails that are not afraid to sell. And again, you don't have to have crazy discounts and do crazy claims and hard sales or anything, but just not being afraid to really highlight the benefits of what you're selling and to actually offer that thing up. And really what I like to do is a combination of both for most of the emails that are going out on a regular basis, where I use a certain topic as a conversation starter. So it could be educating them on something around a specific benefit that's related to one of your products. And so it could be like, let's just say, for example, you're selling supplements. And so people are, that they have certain fitness goals in mind. They're trying to build muscle or get stronger or lose fat, whatever it is. So if you have an email that's crafted with a specific tip or some great information about just benefits of a certain exercise or certain food you can eat or whatever, nutrition based tip, you give that information, and then you can tie in your product at the end as something that can also help you, can enhance you getting results with this information you've just given them. But I do it in a way where if they're not in the market to buy today, they could still take that information that was given to them in the email, go use it, go get value from it. And then if they are in the market to buy, it just kind of becomes a no-brainer because you've built up that relationship where, wow, they keep showing up. They always have good information for me. So, I just want to buy from them over the millions of other supplement companies.
Yeah, awesome, man. I love that connection with how we're molding all that together. And, I think it's important that at the start of the process, when we're getting new leads, right, is taking them along the process and understanding about us, right, about us and like our story. I know with humans, we always love sharing stories. It's a standard thing about what we do so they can, buy in, I guess, to the vision and mission and what we're all about there. So do you want to maybe share a little bit about how we can, share our company or brand's story, whether it's through a welcome series or something like that, so we can really, connect to them as quickly as possible so that then we can, obviously have them as customers going forward.
Yeah, so for the welcome series, the framework I usually use is, so a lot of times you're going to have some sort of offer to get them onto the email list, something you've put out there just to convince them to opt in, whether it's a lead magnet or a coupon code or whatever. So the first email, you definitely want to deliver that thing quickly because they did sign up for that. So you want to make sure that they get that. But then in the first email, I like to do more of a brief intro about the business. So it's like, here's the thing you got, or here's the thing you signed up for, but also in general, here's what we're all about. Here's what we do, that sort of thing. In email 2 of this welcome series, that's where I like to go deeper into the brand story. So now it's, if your brand, and when we say brand story, it's not always the literal story of how you started your business, because a lot of businesses don't have this, really intriguing story of starting in their garage or, like Apple or whatever. The brand story is really more about positioning your customers as the hero of their own story and how your products or services are going to help them achieve what they want to achieve. So if you're selling coaching services, then you want to share a story about your ideal client and what their life is like right now before working with you and what their life will look like after working with you based on the type of results that you've seen with other clients. And in this email where you're sharing this brand story, that's where I really put the emphasis on your unique value proposition. So anything that you can say about your business or your products that are unique or just that really speak to the quality, even if it's not totally unique from other people in your space who are selling the same thing, at least focus on the main quality standards that you set. And so that way people are really understanding, okay, they're getting that connection to your brand, but really understanding why they should do business with you. And then in email 3 of the welcome series, I like to really build on what we've done in those first 2 emails. And this is where I like to focus a lot more on the social proof. So this is where I would be showing off reviews, reviews or testimonials, showing off, any media that you've been featured in, or if you have any big influencers that have either spoken about or are ambassadors for your brand, things like that give them the sense that, okay, other people have had great results and are really happy with this company. And then as we go further into that welcome series, this is where things, like I typically start with those 3 emails, and this is where things start to get, I vary them just based on the business and what they have available. So it could be starting to get more into an every other email cadence where one email is more educational and another email is more promotional, something like that. And then also if you have a big social media presence around that email 4, email 5 mark, that's where I like to really push the whole community element of getting people into if you have any like a private Facebook group, or you just want to push them to your main social channels, like where you think you're putting out your best content and you want them to go, getting them connected with all of that, because they might have just found you from an ad or something. They really don't know much about you yet. So you want to get them on, everywhere where they can be consuming your stuff everywhere they go online. So that way, again, you're nurturing the relationship outside of email as well, which then it's just going to make them more familiar. So whenever you do send them future emails, they're more likely to buy.
Yeah, awesome, man. Love that in-depth stuff about the welcome series and how we can, move them along that process and build on that. And you touched a bit before about people don't know what they have necessarily with this asset that we're building. It could be a lot of like low-hanging fruit, so to speak, right? Where we can find a lot of revenue in what we're actually already doing. So do you want to maybe share some ways that maybe we can find some of this hidden revenue in our sort of sales process that we're currently doing?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite things to do with a new client is first, and anyone can do this with their business, is you just want to map out your sales process. So when I say sales process, I really mean the step-by-step process someone has to take to go from being a stranger to being a customer. So for an e-commerce business, it's pretty straightforward. They land on the website, they end up on a product page, they add it to cart, they go through the step 1 of the checkout, and they do step 2 of the checkout, and they're done. It could be also, if you're offering a service, it could be that they landed on some sort of landing page and they have to either book a call or they download some sort of lead magnet. And then maybe they have a call with you. Maybe there is a proposal afterwards. Whatever your process is, you want to break out these steps. And depending on the email software you're using, what's really cool is that you can have automated follow-up set up in between every single one of these steps in your sales process. So most businesses are only doing, they might have a welcome series. And if they're selling a product online, they'll usually have some sort of abandoned cart or abandoned checkout set up. But then all those other steps of, say, for example, someone viewing a product, or in the case of a service business, maybe you have taken them to a webinar, you can even have follow-up where, let's say someone clicked through to the webinar, but they didn't actually watch the video. You can follow, or maybe they watched the video, but they didn't watch long enough to see the pitch at the end. So you can have follow-ups at each of these steps. And just by having that follow-up that didn't exist, you're going to get more sales, because there's a certain percentage of people at every single one of these steps that are just going to not move forward. And what they really, you might think that you lost them, but you didn't. They just need a little nudge to go forward. And so you can map this out by looking in your analytics and just looking at the numbers. Wherever you're tracking everything, you can look at the numbers of people and how many people make it from one step to the next. And you can really see like wherever you see the biggest drop off of people, those are going to be the biggest low hanging fruit opportunities. Meaning if you see the biggest drop off between step 3 and step 4, that's the first place to go add some automated follow-up right then, and make sure to craft the copy in the emails to speak specifically to where they're at. Meaning that if they have only just now clicked over to watch the video, but they didn't watch the video, don't try to sell them yet. They haven't even gotten through the stuff that's in the video. So now we're assuming, well, maybe they're just not going to watch the video. Let's give them the main bullets we wanted them to get from the video, try to convince them to go back and watch it. And think of it that way. So really it's like you can go down the line and have follow-up that's targeted at each step, and each one of those is going to be able to get more revenue for you.
Yeah, awesome, man. I love that. Really powerful on all those follow-up sequences and everything like that, building it. And once you've built them right, it's done. It's just putting in the effort initially.
Exactly.
So love that. Awesome stuff. And one thing you touched on there as well was about like content, right? And I think this is a big one for people, and there's a bit of a mindset around it. Like people, it's hard for me to create content or whatever, or now there's the AI thing, right? About potentially helping with that element, but then maybe you don't want to be like everybody else and create your own. So, just about creating content now, like that engages, right? With our consumers or people that we want to create as customers. Like, what are your thoughts around how we can, create something that's going to be, relevant and move them forward?
It really starts with just doing your early research on your ideal customers. So going back to just, anything you would do, just building a marketing strategy from scratch from the very beginning. A lot of times you're going to do this exercise where you create what some people call a buyer persona or an ideal client's profile, whatever term you use. If you haven't done that, then you want to take the time to do that, to really consider, okay, of the market that we're selling in, who really are our ideal customers? What are their demographics? But even more important than that, what are the psychographics? So what are the fears, desires, the wants, needs, all of those things that are related to what you're selling? Those are going to be the topics they care about, because people, as much as they do want to know that you are a reputable business and you have quality products and services, they ultimately care about themselves and they care about what they get out of it. So if you're always speaking to the things they care about, those are always great topics for emails. And so that's, again, when I mentioned earlier how if you have a conversation starter for the email, just talking about a topic that it could be a pain point or something they're trying to accomplish, you can always tie in your product or service. You don't have to make the whole email about your product or service. So a lot of times when people are sitting down to write content, especially if they haven't done this a whole lot, they're thinking in terms of the typical emails of just like a holiday sale. And they're thinking, well, why would I show up? What do I have to say on a random Tuesday? There's no holiday or anything. What am I going to talk about today? And so if you're sticking with those evergreen topics that everyone cares about, then you can never go wrong. And the great thing now, like you mentioned with AI, is let's just say you don't have a lot of information about your ideal clients yet, is that you can actually use AI to help you do a lot of this research for you, which, like from someone who spent hours doing this for clients years ago before we had AI to do this, I can tell you it's a massive time saver. And it's honestly pretty impressive with what the tools are able to do now. So even with ChatGPT with a free account, you can give it some basic information about the type of products you're selling and just very, very brief information about who you're targeting. So it could just be like you have a skincare brand, and maybe your thing is it's a skincare brand with natural ingredients, and you're targeting women who want skincare for sensitive skin or something like that. It can be that brief. And you can tell it to create an ideal customer profile for you. And you can even mention specifically that you want it to include demographics and psychographics, and you can go as detailed as you want, but it will provide a lot of that usually without you prompting it. And it will literally spit out all the pain points that they care about, all the benefits. And you can eliminate some of the things if you don't agree with them. If you think that doesn't fit with my people, you can just delete that. But you will right there will have, I'd say like 20 to 50 topics. And what's really cool is that you can go even further now. You can take one of those pain points and you can then tell ChatGPT to say, hey, give me content ideas around this one pain point. And now it can give out, just for like, let's just say you had 20 of these, aspirations and pain points and all of that. You can now get 20 topics for each one. So you can see how it's almost a never ending supply of topics. So the whole process of coming up with ideas has been, just made completely easy with ChatGPT. And then from there, you can either write the copy yourself, or you can go through that process of guiding the AI to also write the copy if you so choose.
Yeah, awesome, man. Love it. And very powerful how we can use it. And it's all about using the tool with us, right? Whether you're the business owner or whether you're, like an agency or a company that's helping to do this, it helps everybody at all different levels to just do things quicker. And then obviously putting our own touches on it, which is important to make it more relevant. Don't just necessarily take it for what it is initially there. So love all of that. And do you want to talk about some of just, I guess, the result elements and the outcomes of what happens, right? Because a lot of people might be like, oh yeah, do I really need all this stuff and everything like that? But what have you seen when you've worked with clients, when they've been implementing a lot of these things, right? With these follow-up things at different levels and stuff, how much, like, percentage wise or whatever like that, has the business actually grown, within a short period of time when they put it in?
Yeah. So, it can be pretty significant. It's going to depend on just, the business, how big it is, how good of a relationship they have with their customers and all of that. So one thing I look at is the percentage of revenue that email generates for clients. So with the businesses we work with, email is generating 30 to 50% plus of their total revenue. And this is a very cost-effective sales channel, because if you compare it to advertising, for example, it's way cheaper to do email marketing. So for a lot of businesses, I start working with them, they might be doing, if they're not doing any email marketing, obviously it's zero, but they might be around like 10 to 15% of their total revenue comes from email. And just by getting those automated systems implemented, you can usually get to like the 20, 30% mark. So meaning that doesn't necessarily mean, usually it's going to, now some of that is not always correlated to the growth of the top line revenue, meaning that those numbers don't always align. So, you might make some changes in email and you see, of course, the percentage goes way up on the percentage of sales coming from email, but then the total revenue just jumped up 20%, even though you've increased the email revenue by hundreds of percent, right? So there's going to be, just because you see like, a 300% increase in email sales within the, first couple of months doesn't mean you're getting a 300% increase in total sales, right? But you can very quickly see, 20, 30% growth in total revenue within a few months with good email marketing. And then from there, what's beautiful about it is it's just very consistent. So it just becomes a very consistent and reliable sales channel for you. And by getting all that extra revenue that just continues to come in with pretty low cost and low effort relative to other things, then you can spend more on your advertising or reinvest in whatever else you're doing with to acquire customers in the first place, and you just have more to spend. So that way you're able to grow the business and you have this machine that you can feed those leads to.
Yeah, awesome. Love it like that. And yeah, anyway, we can just reduce cost and then reinvest for growth is always a great thing. And love that. Now let's talk around the software systems and the tools and things like that, because I think this is important now. And everyone obviously should have a CRM, the customer relationship management system, just in case anyone doesn't know what that means. But most people should in business. Firstly, let's just talk about the types, because there's so many of them out there, right? And there's ones that are really good for product, like e-commerce businesses. There's ones that are good for like service businesses or other types of businesses like that there. So I don't know, maybe from a bit of both or whatever, like what are some that you're seeing that are decent systems? Obviously, it's a bit, unique, obviously, to the business sometimes on what you get on other requirements, but maybe just give us a bit of an inkling about what's sort of good in the market and why they're good as well.
Okay, yeah. So one thing I always tell people is first, you want to look for software that caters towards your type of business rather than just going with some generic tool like MailChimp, which is fine if you're just getting started. But you really want to look for something that is built for your type of business, because it's going to save you a lot of hassle of doing a bunch of zaps and integrations to try to piece everything together. And then from there, look for, say you have a couple of tools that look very, very similar feature-wise. They have all the capabilities you want. Go with the one that is a little bit more user-friendly to you, because if you actually use it, you're going to get results. So that said, my favorite ones, and it's a very easy choice for me, for e-commerce is by far Klaviyo. That's the platform that we use with all of our e-commerce clients. And what I love about Klaviyo is that the integration with Shopify, and it also integrates with WooCommerce, and they're adding other, I think they're with Square now, and they're adding some others, but it integrates so well that whole process I talked about of optimizing your sales process and having the automated flows that go at every step. It's super easy to get all those set up. You don't have to do a bunch of extra coding and integrations. There's usually very minimal, for most of the flows, you don't have to do any coding. There's a couple of times you have to do, like very easy to follow steps if you're doing it yourself. Also beyond that, it's really great for segmentation, for creating those segments and being able to send those targeted campaigns around those segments. So it's got great reporting. And if you're familiar with email marketing software, it's pretty easy to use. I would say it's probably going to be intimidating if you've never used a CRM or used email marketing software before, but most of these tools are. So it's just there's always going to be some learning curve. On the service side, my favorite tool is Go High Level. And so what I like about Go High Level is they have combined a full suite of software into one platform. So, you've got your business CRM in there. You've got your email marketing. You've got your landing page builder. You've got your course builder. You've got everything you need in one platform. They have a lot more than that too, but those are like, if you think about let's just say you're using ClickFunnels for your landing pages, and maybe you're using another tool for CRM and email, and maybe you're using Kajabi for courses. It has everything in one, and it's way cheaper than trying to buy all those things together. But even more than that, everything's in one platform. So everything's integrated really well. So you're getting clean reporting, but also you're able to do a lot of those, the follow-up stuff, like I mentioned, where you know what's happening with someone on where they're hitting different landing pages and being able to trigger different automated sequences based on different landing pages they're going to, or based on what they're doing with different videos that you have, whether it's videos that are on landing pages or in courses. And also it's just, that platform actually just, they integrate with pretty much everything. So you could really use that even for e-com if you wanted to. It would just require more integrations. But yeah, that's my go-to. And then another one I like is if you don't need all of that, if you want a really powerful, very capable email platform that works with all types of businesses, but you don't need one that's really specialized towards e-commerce, and maybe you don't need all the courses and all the landing page stuff, then I would say ActiveCampaign. That's definitely my favorite one, because again, it allows you to do, it's easy to use to get started, but it also allows you to do all the advanced stuff as you grow into it.
Yeah. Awesome, mate. Love that. Really powerful with the tools, and yeah, making sure that we're always thinking ahead. I think that's the biggest realization for everybody here, right? Is don't just get the tool that helps you right now. Is thinking about, if you're growing, what's going to be the tool that you can grow with, right? At the same time, because it takes a lot to change over. If you create a lot of stuff, to change over to a new system is a whole thing in itself. So love that. And you talked a bit about segmenting lists and things like that, right? In these platforms. Do you want to just elaborate a little bit more on that, of how we should be thinking about our lists or our tags and things like that, so that we can, make sure that we're setting it up, I guess, correctly from the start?
Yeah, so each platform is going to have their own way of setting this up. Most of them are going to have tutorials to show you how to do this. So it might sound advanced, and it's usually something where you're a 5-minute video away from figuring out how to do it. But really, it's just having a rule that you're setting of how you're going to categorize a group of people within your total list. So it could be that one of the first things I like to do for any business is creating engagement-based segments. So for example, a 30-day engagement group would be people who have engaged with your emails, meaning they've opened an email, clicked an email. And I also like to include people who have visited your site in the last 30 days. And then you can break that up into different time frames. You can have a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, and so on, whatever time parameters you want to set. So the thinking behind that is that the people who are the most engaged with you, they're the ones who want more emails from you. And the people who are less engaged, they've stopped engaging for a reason. And it could be, it's not always because they don't like you or they don't want to buy from you anymore. It could just be that they're just not in the market to buy right now. Maybe they were just getting too many emails. They just don't want as many. It's just different reasons. So if you're just getting started and you don't have this big list where you can have all these different segments for, different customers of different types of products. And because if you create a segment and it's got 2 people in it, there's no point in taking the time to email those 2 people, right? You want to have decent sized segments. So this is the first place I would start, is planning out your campaign strategy around these engagement groups. So the 30-day group, they're going to get all your emails, but then the emails that are the more exciting stuff, so product launches, the big sale, any of the more like exciting things that you think that more people are going to want to know about, you want to go to those wider groups. So the 60, 90-day. And then whenever you do a Black Friday sale or anything that big, then you're going to that's the time to send to everyone. But by doing this, you're keeping this balance of trying to, give the people who want the most, give them more, but then the people who don't want as much, you're intentionally not giving them as many emails because you want to maintain the relationship with them and keep them on the list. And in that way you can win them back over. And of course, once they re-engage with the emails, they're going to get bumped back up into the, the tighter engagement group. And another thing you can play with as you're looking at this strategy is going back to not wanting to send to everyone every single time. And maybe you're trying to figure out, okay, well, how wide of a segment group can I send to? And you can test this by sending some emails. So first to this 30-day group, then the 60-day group, and so on. And once you see the engagement numbers, really drop down, meaning you're just not getting the opens and clicks that you were, then you're sending too wide. Because for some businesses, you can get away with sending to a much wider group and you still have really high engagement, versus other business, you have to be a lot more strict. So it's something where you have to play with that with your own business. But then other segments can be, you create, and these, like you mentioned, it could be that just by adding a tag. So maybe people are actively in your sales process and maybe they're going through a free training before they sign up for a service, and you tag them whenever they enter that training. So you're sending them, specifically only sending them follow-up emails or just sending them campaign emails with topics that are related to people at that point in your sales process, versus maybe your clients, your active clients, you want to send them some different email updates that you wouldn't send to everyone else. So you send to them based on the tag you have in their profile. So the way you set it up is going to be different by the platform you're using, but the strategy of crafting the content for the segment is the same no matter what type of business you have.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Love that. Love the in-depth stuff about how to look at things, because that's where there's a lot of power in it. And I like the message you said about testing, right? Because marketing is testing a lot of the time. When you're doing things out there and you're seeing what works and what's going to give you higher opens or sales and things like that. So mixing it up and just looking at those numbers and things as well. And yeah, it's been quite powerful today. And I guess one last thing that I'd just like to ask as we're wrapping up is, what one key piece of advice would you like to give to all the entrepreneurs watching and listening today?
What you just said is actually something I really think is important for people to understand. And I always tell people that you want to have the mindset of always be testing, kind of like the salesperson has the mindset of always be closing. With email marketing, especially if they are just getting started, or maybe they have been kind of off and on with it, they have all this pressure on themselves where that first email that they send out, if it doesn't get the results they want, they think, oh, people don't want to get emails from me, or, oh, I just suck at this, or whatever. They feel, they tell themselves these things. But if you have the mindset that every email is a test, then the emails that don't work, you're going to learn from them, because you're going to know, okay, well, don't write about that topic again. And the emails that do work, you can keep those topics and those marketing angles in rotation. So as you keep testing over time, you're going to have that list of the things that work is going to keep growing and growing, and you just keep those things in rotation. Now, you wouldn't send the exact email again, but you can send another email on the same topic or around the same pain point, but you just now phrase the conversation in a different way. And you're going to be able to build on that. And that's how you really build that, that's how you start to get those consistent, reliable results, is because you just continue testing and you always build on the stuff that works until it gets to a point where it's actually just becomes pretty predictable for you. You just know what's going to work. And also you don't want to stop testing at that point, because you will still find things that surprise you even after several years of doing it.
Yeah, awesome. Love that mindset around the testing and keep improving over time. Awesome stuff. And yeah, we connected through our networks where I learned about your awesome journey from being a copywriter and consultant to now being the founder of Elevate and Scale. Awesome, very knowledgeable. So much value that's been provided today. And I'm sure you continue to help direct-to-consumer brands unlock hidden revenue and put their sales on autopilot. Very grateful that we connected, and I look forward to working with you. So Kyle, how can people find you and get in contact with you?
Okay, yeah. I mean, if you're interested in working with us, then you can go to elevateandscale.com. Otherwise, the best place to get more content from me is on my YouTube channel, which is Elevate and Scale.
Awesome, guys. So definitely check out elevateandscale.com or the YouTube channel if you want to learn more and work with Kyle and the team down there, especially in the product sort of space. But you can see he's very knowledgeable about all this marketing stuff and reduce your costs and really grow your business, right, over time by doing this properly in your business. And thank you everyone for watching and listening to this show where we talk about everything on business growth. And please like, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as Athin Cassiotis, or visit my website, athincassiotis.com. If you want to grow and scale your business, you can reach out to me on any platform to see if we're a good fit. I completely agree with you, or do I? The only way we know is if you tune in next time. So until next time, remember that our business grows when we learn skills and take action using them in spite of fear. So remember to design your growth and results.